here comes that number 15 of Cameron Combs. Combs trying to work his way. It's Kurt Sponsler. Sponsler will pick up stage win. Mr. Garland is Garland leading the way, showing these drivers how to get it done. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome in as we get ready to rock and roll here this evening from the beautiful iRacing Super Speedway. iRacing Super Speedway, the home of the Outcast Racing League here this evening as drivers going to get ready to duke it out. They're going to get ready to go to battle here in this one for what is going to be a very, very exciting day of racing action here in the Midland Struggler 250. As it is iRacing Super Speedway, the home of these NASCAR Cup drivers here in the Outcast Racing League here this evening. 75 laps of crazy racing action. Now, we will have a couple stage breaks here to break things up a little bit out there on the racetrack for these cats, as they are going to see a caution flag and a stage break at the completion of lap number 20 and at the completion of lap number 40, leaving us with virtually about a 30 to 32 lap run to finish out this race, unless we see some caution flags. And being at a track like iRacing Super Speedway, it is very, very fast, it's high banked, and it can get crazy in a quick hurry. And for all these drivers, you got to keep it in the back of your mind. When will the big one strike? When will something go wrong out there on the speedway? As it's not about if something will go wrong, it's definitely about what will go wrong here this evening as we get them all rolling out there on the racetrack, ready to rumble here in this one. Starting on the pole in the 89, that is Donald Brame. Brame going to start in the top position here this evening to his outside in the Poor Boy Motorsports, the Outcast Racing 81 machine. That is Anthony Garland. Starting in position number 3 in the Outcast Racing League, Poor Boy Motorsports, number 12 ride, that is Josh Bromfield. To his outside will be the 84 ride of Wayne Garland. Garland will start there in his Dark Horse Racing ride, the Dark Horse Motorsports machine, there in 4th. Starting in the 5th spot, that is the 24 ride of Jamison Heath. To his outside in the 3 machine, that is Al Reed. Reed will start there in position number 6 here this evening. He's got his kids right on board with him. Beautiful paint scheme there for him as we see Chris Muse, Billy Jordan, Tony Noble, and Chad Lancaster in the Landon CNSB ride, rounding out our top 10. As here we go, ending all the anticipation with our feature presentation as we are quickly green flag racing. A little bit of a big bump right there. Looked like the 81 ride maybe missed the shift a little bit. ends up with some pretty good damage on that car. Even has a little bit of right front damage before we even get this thing started. So it looks like already some issues for that 81 before the green flag really even flies here this evening. And for Garland, he'll look to try to bounce back from that, try to get that car repaired as you see them spread out a little. 2, 3, 4 wide back here, deeper in the field as everyone try to navigate their way to the front. Some drivers looking to fall back. Other drivers try to race their way up to the point as we do see Luke Wagner out there on the racetrack. Nicholas Barton out there as well as see Al Reed. He's up into that third lane. He's got the 49 rider Kurt Sponsler right there with him. Sponsler in the Midland Struggler ride. Going to get some contact in there. Is our first caution flag of the day. So our first yellow flag did not take long to see it fly here this evening, and unfortunately we're going to see the 49 ride run into some issues here as Kurt Sponsler going to get tore up. And let's take a look back and see how this kind of got started. It looked like James Garland maybe just gets up into him a little bit right here. Let's see if we can get a look at this again. So here they come down into the corner, and you're just going to see, yeah, right there, 37 right, sends it in there, unfortunately washes up the track into that left rear quarter panel of the Elite Sim Racing 49 right. He's going to end up pushing his teammate Cameron Combs up and into the fence there as well. So Cameron and the 49 both end up with some pretty solid damage right there, and it looks like the 16 also going to get a little contact there for Gary Wright. But for Kurt Sponsler and for Cameron Combs early on here this evening, definitely not the problems that they wanted to have here out of the get-go. Not a spot that they wanted to be this early in the race. And we do see a potential black flag as well for the RT3 Designs number 6 ride. Robert Tuisku. Tuisku may have gotten a black flag for a bit of a jump on that start. So we'll have to keep an eye out for that one. As we do see Tyler Humphrey out there. I do believe for Tyler, he messaged me earlier and said that potentially here, if the 9 ride of Tyler Humphrey can make it into the session today, he will not be able to defend his race win after Dover, as he'll have to start and park for the day. So it looks like for Tyler Humphrey, he's going to jump out there, he's going to run a couple of laps here, and then park this car down pit road here, and unfortunately have an early exit through the race back in the 26th position. Tough break there for him, as there's going to be some points changes. There's going to be a lot of things that are going to come here in the future for the Outcast Racing League. So it's going to be interesting to see kind of what all takes shape, what kind of gets moved around, and how these points are going to be kind of sorted out here in this series after today. Apparently there's some changes coming. There's some things that are going to be going on. Some drivers are going to be looking to try to mix things up and dice things up here in the Outcast Racing League. So things could be looking a little bit different here after next week, so we'll have to wait and see kind of what happens and how that gets played out, as Cameron Combs is down pit road hoping to get that car repaired, as I'm not sure if he's going to get the crew to do some work to this car. It's got lots of damage on it, and I don't see the quick repair being used right now, so we'll have to keep an eye on that 15 ride and see if that quick repair does come into play. But everyone else does come down pit side except for our top 5 drivers. Now, Tuisku still has the black flag here from race control. Now, that hasn't been cleared, so we'll have to wait and see what this penalty may be. Maybe a pass-through penalty during the green flag conditions. Never got a shot to really do that during the first run, so he'll look to do it here in run number 2, which is somewhat good news. Gets him a little closer to potentially that stage break, where if he does go a lap down, could be that first car a lap down and get himself back on the lead lap here for that second stage. Or if he can stay on the lead lap, could be a great break there, as the Sprite number 89 ride, the Dark Horse Machine of Donald Brame. Brame still out in front, continuing to lead this race with Killingbeck now in second. Tony Noble in the 32, that Red Bull machine there in third, with Casey Gross now into position number 4. Actually, it's Casey there in 4th, and Tuisku is in that 5th position, but for Tuisku, does have that black flag, so we'll have to keep a close eye and see kind of how that one gets played out, how that one's going to get figured out here, to see, you know, how that penalty gets played out, how that kind of gets figured out, and how that may work for that number 6 machine here this evening, as our first caution flag of the day early on lap number 2. So gives these drivers an opportunity to come down pit road, make some changes, get some fuel into their cars, maybe just try to play some of the strategy game here, as we do see Chris Muse making his way back down pit side. So I feel like a lot of these drivers are very, very tight on fuel. I think a lot of these cats are very tight on gas, so that means that potentially green flag pit stops before the end of stage number 1 here this evening, unless if you've came down pit road, maybe now you can make it, or at least maybe you feel a little bit more confident, a little bit more comfortable running a few more laps out there, as we did see Luke Wagner make his way back down pit side as well. Here comes Wagner back out onto the racetrack. Anthony Garland, he's coming back down pit side. He's still looking to get some repairs done to this poor boy motorsports ride, as well as early on before the green flag was thrown, he got some right front damage, and then on that restart, well, on the initial start, did not get a good jump, did not get a great launch, got a little bit of rear end damage there as well. We do see Humphrey back down pit road, and for Cameron Combs, he's still down pit side here. This is a heartbreaker for Cameron Combs. Not sure if he had a quick repair or not, but does not look like he had it clicked on, or he's using it right now. And unfortunately for the Reese's Pieces, number 15 Ryan, the Elite Sim Racing Machine, still parked down pit road. Now it's only showing that he's completed, I think, only the 1 lap, maybe 2 laps here. So we'll have to keep an eye on this 15 ride and see how iRacing scores him, because as of right now, he's going to be at least probably a couple laps down. And as we get ready to get going here again in just a little bit, it's going to be interesting to see kind of how that gets played out for him. As here we go, back to green flag racing, down through the Geico restart zone. Donald Brame sees that green flag fly quickly onto the loud pedal, looking to try to open up a bit of a lead and advantage here between himself and the rest of the field. As the 89 ride out in front, killing back there at second. This time, though, for the restart, things a little bit more broken up, things a little bit more wide open here, especially towards the front. Brame and Mike Killingback able to jump out to a little bit of a lead. Here comes that 32 at Tony Noble. Everyone else trying to build up all this speed and momentum down the back straightaway, hoping to try to close the gap and reel in that 89 ride. You see a big move to the outside from Jamison Heath. Jamison looking to try to work his Mountain Dew number 24 ride up to the front of the field as he looks to try to get around Cameron Combs. Unfortunately, there's not a whole lot of help right now to his back bumper. He's hoping that Casey Gross and the number 12 ride of Bromfield, the 60 of Johnny Thunders, can kind of get that second lane rolling. Now you see the 32 ride, Tony Noble, washes up the racetrack here. Unfortunately, he's going to fall back a little bit, and here we go. We see that black flag being served for Mr. Tuiscu as Robert comes down pit road. Unfortunately here for that RT3 Designs LLC machine, making this green flag pit stop will put him into a fairly difficult position, but we do still see Cameron Combs down pit road, and unfortunately for Cameron, he came in here into the chat before the race, says, "Let's go racing, boys," and unfortunately for Cameron, he has not done much racing here this evening after contact where his teammate, the 49 ride, gets ran into, washes up the racetrack, and all of a sudden gets parked right in front of his nose. Nowhere for him to go. Kurt Sponsler got through it, got a little bit of damage, has got most of it repaired, and for the 49, he continues to keep on battling here in that Midland Struggler ESR machine, the Elite Sim Racing ride, there in that 14th position. And for his teammate, Cameron Combs, still parked down pit road, and now going to be at least 4 or 5 laps down if he can jump back out onto the racetrack right now. That's going to be tough to get back unless we see a lot of caution flags. As there you go, you do see Tuiscu also ends up going a lap down, so even if we make it to our stage break, Tuiscu will be in that free pass position. For Cameron Combs, he will not be in that free pass spot, as Combs in the chat says, "I jinxed myself." Yeah, unfortunately, brother, you did jinx yourself, and we do see a yellow flag fly, so there's still time to try to get back into it as the caution flag will be displayed again here in this one. Let's take a look and see what happens. Obviously, some issues for the 60 ride of Johnny Thunders. Looked like he ended up getting turned around. Some issues here, maybe with the 24 ride. Okay, so down into corner number 3. If you watch that, or actually this is corner 1. If you watch that white and green Toyota, the 31 machine here, looks like he's going to get a shove. Ends up down onto the apron. As he hits the apron, the car shoots back up the racetrack. For the 24 ride of Heath, he's trying to stay out of his back end here. Unfortunately, drives into him, loses the front end himself. He hits the apron, slideways. Unfortunately, comes back up the track, carrying all that speed and momentum. Makes contact there with the 60 ride of Mr. Johnny Thunders. Thunders goes around as the 76, trying to avoid the carnage there, and Caleb McKinney ends up getting into the 32 ride of Tony Noble. Noble also goes around here. You watch this beautiful Red Bull ride, just trying to keep this thing out of the wall. Luckily enough, the big high banks here may have saved him from major front end damage or big hits out there. Let's see if we can get a look at it here from the 32 ride's perspective, because he's going to get a great look at it. Down low, there's the contact, and then bam, gets hit from the 76. And he's going to go for one loop, trying to save it. Car comes back up the track. He does get a piece of the fence, but not as hard as what it could have been, that is for certain. So, luckily enough, he'll keep on battling. He's still trying to, he's going to get into the fence again there. A little bit more contact for him as it's tough here. This is a very high banked racetrack, man. This track is very high banked. It's probably one of the more aggressive. I think it's definitely way more banked than what Daytona and Talladega are. Let's see if we can take a look at that banking, because it's crazy, especially once you start to get up towards that outside fence. It's like 45 degrees of banking almost, man. It's crazy how much banking is here on iRacing Super Speedway, but that's what makes this racetrack so much fun. And here we go. Now we're going to see more drivers end up coming down pit road here. Some more cats coming down pit side, looking to try to make sure that they're good on fuel here to the end of this stage, as we see our race leader, Donald Brame. Brame going to come down pit road. Corey Crowell will join him. We see Killingbeck, Devin Black, Billy Jordan, Al Reed, and his beautiful ride going to come down pit road. As let's see if we can get a good look here at this paint scheme here for this number 3 machine. Let's see if we can get another look at this thing. This is a beautiful looking ride out there on the racetrack, and I know as kids watching, everyone watching at home, so let's see if we can get a good look at it here. As there they are, there's the young fellas right there, cheering on Dad out there on the speedway. Shout out to the boys here this evening, tuning in, watching their dad, Al Reed, go to battle here. A paint scheme that they painted, actually, so beautiful looking paint scheme here this evening as well. Shout out there to those guys, man. It's looking pretty nice. I kind of like it. I know it's a lot different than what Al normally runs, so it's pretty dope. And putting the boys there on the side of the car, looking fresh out there on the racetrack, man. And for the boys from Ireland, man, they're representing Ireland here this evening and being proud at it, as they'll hope to see their dad find victory lane here this evening, and hopefully we can bring them that amazing action here today, as we'll get them all stacked up, racked up, ready to go back to Green Flag Racing. Is staying out here during this set of caution flags. We do see Wayne Garland, Kurt Sponsler, the 24, Jameson Heath, the 99, Ryan Chris Muse. They're all going to stay out here, so they're probably feeling like they're good to go on fuel. For everyone else, they came down pit road here on lap number 8, so they were able to get some changes, able to get some work done to their race cars, and they're able to get back into the battle here. We do see Cameron Combs. Cameron is back out onto the racetrack. Good to see that Reese's Pieces ride rejoin the field here. Unfortunately, it's still showing him as on the first lap. I do believe he's gotten more than a lap in. iRacing should fix that, but unfortunately for Cameron Combs, he is more than likely probably about probably about 5-6 laps down out there on the racetrack. We'll see if iRacing can fix that lap that he's on. They're saying that he just finished lap number 1. Maybe he did. I could have swore he got wrecked, though, down in yeah, there we go. Okay, now it's on lap number 2. Okay, so he just completed lap number 2 right there for that 15 machine. So he is, I do believe, 7 laps down. That's going to be tough. That is going to be very tough. And now we do see Mike Killingbeck. He's down pit road for an extended period of time now. Killingbeck was running up at the front of the field, and now we see the 70 ride down pit road. And unfortunately for Mike Killingbeck here, he is now a lap down out there on the speedway as well. So I'm not sure what may have happened to the Lord's Tech number 70 ride, as out in front, Wayne Garland, the Dark Horse Motorsports ride, hoping to try to find victory lane, as Cameron says 7 down. Yeah, 7 laps down there for Cameron Combs after iRacing got it figured out. Well, if Mike Killingbeck stays down pit road for another, 6 laps or so, maybe potentially you can pick up at least one more spot out there on the racetrack. If we can see a slew of caution flags and no one else lose a lap out there on the speedway, could potentially start to claw back into it. Maybe potentially getting the wave around the lucky dog during a couple of these stage breaks, maybe, and getting yourself somewhat back into the race. Maybe a little lucky here this evening. We'll have to wait and see how that plays out for the 15 ride. If it's anything like we had last night in our feature event, we have 13 caution flags. It felt like a whole lot more than that because we saw a lot of drivers come back from 3 laps down. Some drivers come back from 1 or 2 laps down there in that race. There was a lot of free passes being handed out. Tyler Humphrey says, major technical issues for me. Good luck, boys. Tyler, that is a heartbreaker, brother. That is a heartbreaker, my boy. We saw you out there able to at least get the start and park here this evening. Hopefully it's nothing major. Hopefully it's nothing crazy. If it's like your iRacing PC or anything, or steering wheel or anything like that, that may be down for you, man. That's hopefully it's not an extended period of time where you can't jump in and join and battle with these drivers. As here we go, back to green flag racing, 10 laps in, and 10 laps left to go here in stage number 1. Can we get some good green flag laps in here in this second half of our first stage of the day? As ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, you guys are just tuning in, make sure you guys do us a favor, man. Hit that like button on the stream, hit that share button, hit that follow and subscribe button. Become part of the Peacemaker family here this evening. Is out in front, it's Wayne Garland. Leading the way here with Jamison Heath in position number 2. Chris Muse there in 3rd with Corey Crowell back in position number 4. Devin Black looking to make the move on the outside here. Black trying to work his way up towards the front of the pack here in that Scott Bloomquist number 7 ride. It looks like he'll get the 77 of Casey Gross to jump up to the outside lane here. Try to get that second groove rolling here on the Speedway as they're doing a fantastic job out there on the racetrack, man. Some great racing, and now you see the 89 ride trying to squeeze his way up, and as he does, it forces that outside lane up a little higher right there, and that kind of killed a bit of their momentum. They do slide back a couple car lengths here. We see Al Reed potentially jump up there, join that outside lane. How do these drivers handle this feature event, man? This is going to be a lot of fun to see who's going to be able to figure out this racetrack, who's going to be able to put themselves up and into the winner's circle as they're 3 wide here at the rear of the field, but it is dicey up here. There we go. We see Chris Muse. Muse jumps up here. He jumps into that second line. Does Brame go with them, or do they leave him high and dry? Looks like a couple are going to split to that 3rd lane. And it looks like Casey Gross going to join him. Same with Adolfo Castillo. Here comes that 49 rider, Kurt Sponsler. He's looking to try to stay right in that middle groove. Same with Anthony Garland as they'll pick up that 99 ride and get that second lane rolling. Oh, man, things getting tight right there. My gosh, that was close to potentially a big wreck and a big caution flag out there on the racetrack as we saw the 7 ride roll more into that 4th lane, and that almost hooked the 89 ride around, which would have caused a big pile up out there on the racetrack. Luckily enough, everyone able to keep their cars pointed in the right direction, and now you do see the Quantum Motorsports team trying to get lined up here as well in that outside groove. They've got the 77 of Casey Gross, that 31 of Adolfo Castillo. You look a little farther back there, you do see Chad Lancaster and Johnny Thunders right there with them, so 3 of the Quantum Motorsports rides all trying to race their way up towards the front. It's actually all 4 of them there, at least 4 of them, as the 0-2 part of the Quantum team here as well. So they're trying to get together, trying to stick together, and see if they can maybe race their way up here towards the front, maybe earn some big stage points here this evening. Is out in front, Wayne Garland doing a great job, continuing to keep these drivers back there at bay as he looks to try and put himself up and into victory lane here this evening. Now you take a look back there, Kurt Sponsler in that Midland Struggler 49 ride, gonna make a move down to the middle groove, and here we go. It's back on like Donkey Kong here this evening as the 49 ride trying to dice things up. As look out, James Garland going to run into issues. That's going to be a caution flag. Yellow flag, yellow flag. Oh, that's a big hit right there for James Garland. This is the second time we've kind of seen this out of that 37 machine, as it looks like he just gets down low, but this time maybe he gets a little help here. Maybe he gets a piece of the apron here potentially. Let's take a look back at it. So here they are rolling down the back straightaway, and yeah, right there. Gets into the apron down into corner number 3, and as he does, the car just kind of gets unbalanced here, kind of gets leveled out. The front end kind of digs into the ground there, and unfortunately doing that kind of just turns this car down the racetrack, shoots back up the speedway, nowhere to go for the 24s. He's going to get a piece of him, but he comes back up the track hard contact up into the outside fence. Adolfo Castillo nowhere to go right there as he ends up getting some pretty solid damage himself in that 31 machine. And for the 37, unfortunately, heavy damage. Looks like he's going to tow that car right down pit road for Adolfo. Unfortunately, big damage here for the 31 ride as well. He'll have to tow that car down pit side as a couple tore up race cars out there on the speedway, and another caution flag bringing us closer and closer to the checkered flag here in stage number 1. So we're getting down to the nitty-gritty. Only about 5 laps left to go next time by the start-finish line until we see our first stage come to an end. And for right now, Wayne Garland, he's sitting in a pretty position right here. He is feeling fine out there on the racetrack, knowing that he could potentially end up into a very good position here in this one, as it could be a lot of fun to see kind of what is going to happen, who's going to be able to make some moves, who's going to be able to make their way up here to the front, who's going to be able to survive throughout this race. That's going to be the big question, is who will survive, who will keep themselves out of trouble and not having problems here this evening. As out in front, Wayne Garland, looks like he's not going to come down pit road. Doesn't look like we got a lot of takers. We do see Tuwisku, Billy Jordan, Gary Wright. They will come down pit road. Now, we did see Cameron Combs. Cameron, there we go. That's the caution flag he needed. Does get a wave around. A lucky dog. Gets at least 1 lap back for that 15 ride. So he's chipping away at it. Maybe he can get there. Maybe it'll happen. Maybe it'll work out for him. We'll have to wait and see how this gets played out here this evening, and if potentially, it could put him back on the lead lap if we get enough yellow flags throughout the day. It's never over until it's over, so it could potentially happen, as you do see out in front leading this race. It is the 84 ride, Wayne Garland. What it would mean for his season to be able to pick up a big stage win here at iRacing Super Speedway, as Jamison Heath back there in second. Corey Crowell, Al Reed, Grant Humphrey having another great run here for the 48 ride. The 48 machine has looked very stout here on the season, man. This 48 ride has been doing a great job week after week after week, and it's just been working out perfectly here for him. So we'll have to take a look at the point standings, see if we can get a good look at where he's sitting here for these points out there on the speedway. See if we can get a little bit of, let me see if we can get this up right now. Let's get an image up. Gonna go new, at source, browse. There's the driver standings. Okay, well, that's a little bit big. Let's see if we can fit that to screen. All right, so that is our point standings right now on the season. Now, it is early on in the season here, so obviously a lot of those points are going to change. A lot of that stuff is going to get a little bit different, but you do see Caleb McKinney with the points lead here as 18 points above Cameron Combs. Now, that point lead should grow potentially here a little bit this evening, with Combs already running into issues. For Caleb McKinney, could be in a good spot to get some good stage points, try to build that lead up even more between himself and the 15 ride. For Grant Humphrey, we're just talking about him, man. He's up in there, up in the battle here. And for Grant in the Must Love Poodles ride, he rolls in position number 3 here in the points early on. Al Reed, Casey Gross are top 5, with Tyler Humphrey. Unfortunately for Tyler, after winning last week's race, he's back in that 6th position. But luckily enough, with that win, he's into the playoffs. Same with the number 7 ride of Devin Black, who's scored back in the 12th position right now. Has a win on the season. He is locked in. We'll have to keep a close eye on that one, as all these drivers going to get ready to go back to battle, going to get ready to duke it out again here this evening and see who can try to put themselves into a winning strategy here this evening, as it's going to be a lot of fun. As Aaron Barnickel has a win here on the season as well. Unfortunately, we haven't seen Barnickel in a few races here. That's a heartbreaker there. Aaron Barnickel had a great start to the season, had a big win, was looking pretty feisty, pretty fast out there on the racetrack, and now stuck in a not a great position here points-wise. So we'll have to wait and see how that plays out for a driver who's already picked up a win here on the season and looking for the win here, as we do see all these drivers getting ready to go to battle, getting ready to duke it out here once again. We'll have to wait and see If this will be our last caution flag before the end of the stage, should be a 2-lap shootout here to finish off stage number 1. So 2-lap shootout to see who can try to win this stage. Now these guys are going to get very, very racy. As here we go, Wayne Garland back onto the loud pedal, opens up a bit of a lead here. The Dark Horse Motorsports ride, it's a pretty good launch, a pretty good drive. Now here comes that 2 ride, Corey Crowell. Does Crowell stick with them, or does he jump up to the outside lane, try to lead the 84 a little bit high and dry? Looks like he'll stay in behind him as of right now, but down the back straightaway could be a whole new ball game, as it seems to be that inside groove just seems to be way more confident, way more under control. But unfortunately we have seen a few drivers hit that apron, and once you kind of get into it, it's tore up a lot of race cars out there on the speedways. Now here we go, big block right there from Wayne Garland, jumps up into that second groove. Looks like they're going to try to spin him up here in this one. He'll jump back down to the inside lane. The 2 ride will fall in line as the 24, Jamison Heath, around the outside trying to take the race lead away, and there is the caution flag. Caution flag will come out again. Yellow flag back out here. It looks like that 37 ride, the 24, all running into some issues here. This is Nicholas Barton in the Exalta 24 ride. Let's see if he gets a little help here. Looks like he's potentially going to do the same thing here. The inside lane looks like maybe it's the more treacherous groove out there on the speedway, as we see a couple drivers hit the curbing right there. They hit the apron, gets the 24 ride sideways, and he's going to shoot back up the racetrack. Unfortunately, ends up getting a big piece of that 8 ride of Wagner. That's going to shoot Wagner off the racetrack here as well. Now, we did see James Garland end up getting some pretty heavy damage here. Not sure if he drives into this late, gets a piece of the 24 ride, or any of these other drivers, as there goes the 89, the 6. There's the 37 and the 32 right there. We're going to see Tony Noble potentially get into the back end here of James Garland, as James try to keep himself out of this caution. Ends up getting back into the rear end of the 16 ride. Heavy hit there, front end damage, and that just checks up all his speed and momentum. Tony Noble ends up driving right into the back end of him. Both drivers end up getting some pretty solid damage, as you see the 37 bounce off the outside fence. The 32 gets into it as well, so a couple more drivers deeper in the pack getting tore up here as the second stage is about to close. And now for a bunch of these guys, they do have major damage. Looks like they may be spending additional time down pit road. For Cameron Combs, that's another lucky dog, another free pass here to get himself potentially a little closer back to the lead lap here this evening, as Barton able to keep his car rolling. Did get too much damage out of that, but unfortunately for a bunch of these other drivers like Luke Wagner, Tony Noble, and James Garland, they do get a lot of damage out there on the speedway. And it looks like for those two, they may be down pit road for an extended period of time. And now if you're Cameron Combs, you got to hope that they're at least down pit road for another 5 laps here, so that way you can pass them and stay in front of them for the lucky dog position here this evening. Now if they roll out in only 3 or 4 laps down and they're in front of him, it'll take him out of those free pass positions here later in this race. So we'll have to see how that plays out, as winning stage number 1 is this number 84 rider, Wayne Garland. Garland picks up the first stage win. Jamison Heath will come home in second, with Corey Crowell back there in third. Al Reed in fourth, and Grant Humphrey running out our top 5 there in that stage. And we see Kurt Sponsler, Josh Bromfield, Casey Gross, Caleb McKinney, and Chad Lancaster there in that 10th position, as we'll get them all stacked up, racked up, ready to go back to Green Flag Racing. As we did see Tuwisku, Adolfo, Billy Jordan, they were down pit road there on lap 14, 15, getting repairs and damage fixed. And then we just saw Chris Muse, Donald Brame, Anthony Garland, Gary Wright, Devin Black all come down pit road, as Luke Wagner still down pit road. Here comes Barton rolling back out there. So Barton's going to see on the lead lap here this evening for Luke Wagner. He's got to hope that this car can get repaired and back out there onto the racetrack without going a lap down. For Tony Noble, looks like Tony has taken this car right out of the race here this evening. Looks like he has actually taken it back down behind pit wall and out of the race. So that's a heartbreaker for the number 32, as looks like he will go to the back of the pack here. He will join the likes of potentially Mike Killingbeck and Tyler Humphrey here at the back of the pack. Mike Killingbeck also still not rolling out there onto the racetrack. So Some interesting calls, some interesting turn of events here early on in this race as Anne-Marie Davis coming in showing the love with that heart reaction, cheering on James Garland here this evening over there on Facebook as we'll get them all stacked up, racked up, ready to go back to green flag racing. Here in this one is Wayne Garland as the race lead, looking to try to keep these guys back there at bay and hoping to try to put himself up and into victory lane here this evening as winning stage number 1. He's looking pretty good, looking pretty strong out there on the speedway and hoping to get a big win here in this one as we'll get them all stacked up, racked up, ready to rock and roll here today. As tonight's racing action is brought to you by Midland Struggler. Make sure you guys go check out Midland Struggler over on, I do believe on YouTube, Spotify, SoundCloud, pretty much everywhere that you can listen to music. You can watch and listen to the Midland Struggler crew as, man, my Eagles lost today. We blew that 17-3 lead. My gosh, Eagles, what in the world are we doing? Second half of that game, we just played like garbage. Jalen's got to step it up. Bad Eagles, bad Eagles. No longer 5-0. Brutal. All right, as the lights are off the official iRacing pace car, we are going to get ready to go back to green flag racing here this evening. The battle's about to begin once again. Drivers going to be looking for the wins here again, and each and every one of them hoping to try to find victory lane, hoping to try to find their way into what could be a big, big day points-wise here at iRacing Super Speedways. A lot of drivers can run into issues. A lot of drivers could run into problems and unfortunately could have early exits where if you can just keep yourself out of the carnage, out of the chaos out there on the speedway, keep yourself pointing the right direction, you could potentially put yourself up and into the winner's circle as Wayne Garland, Corey Crowell 1 and 2 out there on the speedway as again Wayne gets another good restart, jumps down in front of that 2 right and able to just kind of keep himself rolling here at the front of the field. So here we go, some contact, some movement back there behind our race leaders. Casey Gross, look out. Now we see a couple more up into the outside fence, and there is the caution flag. Going to come out once again as Chad Lancaster and that number 6 machine, 2 of our sponsors here in the series, 2 sponsored cars, unfortunately tied together there. That is Chad Lancaster in the Land and Sea NSB 02 ride getting tore up, and the RT3 Designs LLC number 6. Robert Tuiscu also getting tied up here in this one. Let's take a look back and see what happens here as it starts with Casey Gross. Casey gets really bent out of shape here. I'm not sure if he just jumps up to the outside lane, but you're going to see the 77 get really squirrely right there, and it just kind of fakes out the 2 ride. I don't think he really knew what was happening, if Casey was going to save that car or not, and for Chad Lancaster, he's just going to kind of get a little bit squirrely here himself as he's trying to get checked up, trying to avoid the 77, even gets a little help right there. So there was a little bit of a tail tag there that kind of helped that 2 ride get shoved up towards the fence, and as he does, nowhere to go for the 6th ride of Tuiscu as he'll drive into the side of him. Both drivers will get up into the outside fence. The 0-2 pointed the wrong direction. iRacing throws that caution flag, and we are back under the yellow here this evening as Tuiscu and the number 02 will both look to try to head down pit road, look to try to get some repairs as we'll get everyone stacked up, racked up, ready to go back to green flag racing. Now, James Garland still down pit road here with damage. Tony Noble already down and out of this race. Luke Wagner, unfortunately, it looks like Wagner did lose a lap down pit side. And that's a heartbreaker there for Cameron Combs. Cameron was in line to potentially get another free pass, another lucky dog here this evening. And unfortunately, Luke Wagner is in line for that lucky dog, so he should get the free pass and back onto the lead lap here for that 8 machine for Cameron Combs. He will stay believe now 5 laps down out there on the racetrack, but if we get more yellows, potentially more laps for him to regain here throughout this race as we'll get ready to set him back loose. We'll get ready to go back to Green Flag Racing as it looks like everyone is going to make their way back down pit road. As I think we're starting to get into that same frame of mind, that same picture right now where drivers probably can't make it a full 20 laps on a tank of fuel. So they're trying to make sure that they can come down pit side, get fuel here, and it could be enough that they can make it to the end of this stage. I think fuel will still be fairly tight for a couple of them. We'll have to wait and see if they can make it to the end of the stage or not. Everyone's just going to get a splash of gas and go, and they'll get ready to rumble here once again, as it does look like Corey Crowell. Great pit stop here for the number 02, as Crowell going to beat everyone down pit lane. Al Reed will come out in second. Wayne Garland falls back to third here as Grant Humphrey and Devin Black will round out our top 5 here for this restart. Bromfield there in 6, and Kurt Sponsler in that Midland Struggler ride rolls there in position number 7 on the racetrack. Let's get a word in here from our sponsors over at Midland Struggler.
Check 1, 2, radio check. Still. On the bound through the corner, lane up through the triangle. Not sure why we did that, I don't know the plan. 88 was screaming everybody get to the bottom. We should just run all out and wait until after the fourth pit. Out of the gas, slow down. He's got it right in front of me.
Here we go, getting ready to go back to Green Flag Racing. It's 25 laps now completed, 50 laps left to go here this evening from iRacing Super Speedway. As out in front, it is the 2 ride of Corey Crowell. Crowell in the top spot here, continuing to lead this race. He's got Wayne Garland right there with him. Wayne's done a fantastic job here this evening. Gets a great restart there again. Sticks with that 2 ride. They've been working well together here this evening as the 3 ride of Al Reed finds himself there in position number 3 out there on the speedway. Grant Humphrey in position number 4 and looking for more out there on the racetrack as the Must Love Poodles ride doing a fantastic job here this evening, rolling there in that 4th position. Devin Black, and there's our pole sitter, and there he goes around. Our pole sitter gets turned turn, and the caution flag will be displayed here once again. So Donald Brame going to get turned right there. We saw a great look at it as it was going loose there for that Dark Horse Motorsports run. Let's take another look at it as obviously things were getting a little bit sporadic here. There's a little bit of contact as the 89 just seems like he can't quite hold this car down on that inside lane against that yellow line almost here as he kind of gets in there, kind of jumps up a seam, and as he does, the 14 of Billy Jordan's kind of right there on his back bumper, ends up sneaking just underneath him as the 89 tries to get back in line. It cuts down across the nose here of that ISR number 14 machine over to go for Adolfo Castillo. The 24 ride, the 60 ride, all going to get tied together down low as Brame and the 31 make big contact, and then nowhere to go right there for Chris Muse as well. Big hit there for Muse. The 89 ride backs it into the fence there. Does get some pretty solid contact there on that 89 machine. But for Chris Muse kind of all of a sudden ends up in the wrong place at the wrong time. He's quite a ways back here trying to keep himself out of the chaos. And unfortunately, can't get checked up quick enough. As here we go, we see all these cars going around. Look at the smoke. Look at everyone flying around here. Here comes the 31 Ryan right into his lap, and he drives right on through him. Looks like Anthony Garland gets some pretty solid left front damage there as well as he gets into the back end of the 99 ride. And a lot of drivers just got tore up down here. All it takes is that one car to go around, and that just kind of messes the whole day up for a lot of drivers. Creates a lot of chaos and carnage out there. So let's see if we can jump on board here with Adolfo Castillo. As Castillo, unfortunately, he may have already used up a quick repair. Let's take a look here as here he comes, trying to keep himself out of it, tries to get up out of the way. Unfortunately, just cannot avoid it. Finally goes around. Oh, man, couple big hits, and it happens so quick. There's really nothing you can do except for just hang on and hope for the best. And unfortunately, a lot of tore-up race cars out there on the speedways. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, make sure you guys hit that subscribe button. Become part of the Peacemaker family here today as we'll get ready to play once again as a lot of these drivers make their way down pit side, including Adolfo Castillo, as he's now going to be sitting down pit road, hoping to get this car repaired, and I do believe has already fallen a lap down. So I do believe he has used up his quick repair from an earlier caution flag, and for that 31 machine, he may be down pit road here for an extended period of time trying to get this thing repaired, trying to get this car fixed up and back out there onto the racetrack. And now, with that caution flag being thrown, another wave around goes to this 15 ride of Cameron Combs. Cameron got tore up and ended up hard contact into the outside fence, into his teammate, the 49 ride of Kurt Sponsler, there in our second lap of this race. And for the 15 ride, ended up going 8 laps down, but here he is, battling back into it, getting himself slowly but surely back into the action, as this should put him only about 3 laps down here now, which is actually quite incredible. 3 laps, maybe 4 laps down, one or the other, but man, nonetheless, absolutely insane that he's going to be able to potentially find his way back on the lead lap here today as the 2 rider Corey Crowell out in front. He will stay out. We saw a lot of the top 10 stay out here. Looks like Jamison Heath and Robert Tuiscu, Luke Wagner, they were down pit road on lap 23, lap 24. Same with Casey Gross there in the 11 ride, or in the 11th position in the 77 ride. So they sit inside the top 11. And then we see a lot of other drivers, including Lancaster, Wright, McKinney, Billy Jordan, Nicholas Barton, Donald Brame, Chris Muse. A lot of these guys getting quick repairs and getting repairs, trying to get their cars fixed up and back into the action here this evening, including Anthony Garland, Johnny Thunders, as he rolls back out onto the track here. And those look like maybe still a bunch of damage here on that 60 ride as well. He may have already used up that quick repair here this evening. And we already lost Tony Noble. Noble already down and out of this racing with Tyler Humphrey, James Garland, and that 70 ride of Mike Killingback, both still down pit road. Now, multiple laps down for each of them. About 20 laps down for Killingback, 10 laps down for this number 37 ride of Mr. James Garland as well. So both these drivers, unfortunately, looks like their nights may have came to an early exit as well. So we start with 26. We may only go back to Green Flag Racing with about 21 drivers still battling out there on the speedway for this next restart. So things are happening quickly. Things are getting tore up. Drivers are getting tore up out there on the racetrack. And unfortunately for a lot of them, not a fun place to be out there on the speedway, as We see Steven Stokes. Steven, what's good, Steven? Mr. Stokes coming in with that like on the stream. How are you, Steven? How you doing this evening? Coming in showing the love here in this one. As ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, make sure you guys hit that like button, hit that share button, hit that follow and subscribe button. Become part of the Peacemaker family here today as we get ready to go back to Green Flag Racing. As Corey Crowell, Wayne Garland, door to door, getting ready for another big restart here this evening. As Crowell looking to try to keep everyone back there at bay for Wayne Garland. He wants to jump back in front. He wants to try to win stage number 2 here this evening. Wayne was able to win stage number 1. Big run for him. Great drive for that number 84 ride, and if he can win stage number 2 as well, that really opens up the door for him even more here this evening. As here we go back to Green Flag Racing. This time Al Reed gonna stick right to the back bumper of that 2 ride. You see Wayne jumps down to the inside lane, obviously feels a lot more comfortable down low here. Maybe that's the safest place to be out there on the racetrack, but we have seen drivers run into issues running into the apron, especially down here on corner entry. Seems like corner entry is where it really seems to mess with a lot of these drivers, where we've seen a lot of them kind of get bent out of shape, have issues, and that's when they start to kind of go around or run into problems or sliding out there on the racetrack, and it doesn't take much to loop these things around. As you see the Elite Sim Racing number 49 rider, Kurt Sponsler. Sponsler's trying to get that second lane roll, and unfortunately nothing building up there in that second groove. He will find a hole, slide into that 5th position out there on the racetrack, and we do see, unfortunately for the 48, of Grant Humphrey falling backwards here, as well as the 16 ride of Mr. Gary right there, the 81, Billy Jordan, the 14, the 02 falling back here as well, Johnny Thunders, and the 15 ride of Cameron Combs. Unfortunately for both of these drivers, they are quite a ways back here as well, and unfortunately they may have lost the lead draft here. If they did, if we stay clean and green, if we keep rolling for these 10 laps, it may be enough. It's a big enough racetrack that they may not lose a lap out there on the speedway, but if we don't see that caution flag fly, or if we don't see a yellow flag and they continue to lose a lot of time, they could potentially lose another lap out there on the racetrack. Is out in front, it's Corey Crowell. Crowell has the race lead, trying to keep all these drivers back there behind him as Al Reed in second. We know Al would love to try to jump up here, pick up some extra points for that Elite Sim Racing team, and knowing that he wants to try to win a stage here, as he's got his sons on board with him here. And he's trying to take them into victory lane tonight. What a win that would be if Al could park that 3 ride, a car that they painted and they got their faces on there, man. It'd be awesome to see that car find victory lane here this evening as Al Reed and Sons looking for the win, as they got the 2 car right there in front of them now. But a lot of laps left to go here. Still a lot of laps of racing action, a lot of carnage, a lot of problems, a lot of things can go right, a lot of things can go wrong in a quick hurry, because you can't win the race here on lap number 32. You can only win this race on lap number 75. That final lap is the only lap that you can put yourself into the winning position, unless we go to NASCAR overtime. If we do go to NASCAR overtime, then we may not see that checkered flag fly till lap number 78, lap number 83. Who knows when we may see the final restart happen and see these guys able to finish off this race. So it could get very hectic. But the way we've been dropping cars here, not sure if we're going to see another yellow flag before the end of this stage, as out in front, Corey Crowell just continues to keep all these cats back there behind him. Wayne Garland right there in third. Then we see Casey Gross back in fourth. The 12 rider Josh Bromfield now up inside the top 5 as he's looking to navigate his way closer and closer to the front of the field. Jamison Heath there in 6th. Caleb McKinney, Kurt Sponsler, Nicholas Barton, and Donald Brame, our pole sitter, back here in position number 10 on the speedways. You do see the 49 ride again for Kurt Sponsler. Gets a piece of that infield apron, shoots the car up the racetrack. He's going to end up losing a few spots here, especially with no drafting help to his back bumper. And for the Midland Struggler ride, loses about 4 positions right there. Slides from 8th position now back into position number 12 on the speedway. Now outside of a points paying spot here, trying to earn some stage points for the 49. Unfortunately, those points may not they may be off the board here. He's going to have to try to reel these guys back in, try to make some more passes, and hope that he can work himself back into this battle. But as of right now, they're starting to lose touch to the back bumper of the 7 ride of Devin Black, and if they're not careful, they could all of a sudden find themselves going multiple laps down here or potentially losing that lead draft, so they got to try to reel these guys in a quick hurry. You'll see the 76 ride. Good to see the 76 up here. Able to rebound after that last caution flag, able to get that car repaired. Same with Donald Brame, the 24 ride. So if you do get tore up, if you do get tied up in some caution flags, into some craziness out there on the speedway, at least you got lots of time here at a super speedway to come down pit road, get changes, get repairs done, try to get your car fixed up without having to use potentially that quick repair. Hope to use that quick repair later in the evening if need be, but it's better to have it than not to have it, and getting tore up late in this race could potentially take you out of the race. But if you got that quick repair still in your back pocket, you could use it to keep yourself in the battle here this evening, so we'll have to keep a close eye on that one, as we do see Corey Crowell out in front, leading this lead group. But you do see the 84, Wayne Garland. I know he wants to win this second stage. He just has not quite taken the jump yet. He has not made that big move, has not made his decision on whether or not he wants to jump up to that outside lane. He's trying to see if maybe potentially the 77 ride of Casey Gross will go with him. Maybe Josh Bromfield jumps up there, tries to help that number 84 ride out as well here this evening, so we'll have to wait and see if that Dark Horse Motorsports Peacemaker Gaming 84 ride can find another stage win here this evening, as 35 laps now completed. 35 laps completed. 40 laps left to go. They're clicking the laps off here pretty quickly. Once we're clean and green, once we start getting some green flag laps rolling, really seems to click these laps off in a quick hurry. Under the yellow flags, though, does chew up a lot of time, so we'll have to wait and see if this final stage can be a little bit more clean and green, a little bit more cordial out there on the speedway, and see if things kind of stay a little bit more modest here between all these drivers, and not a lot of yellow flags and having more issues here in that final stage of the evening. As our second stage quickly coming to a close, down across the line for Corey Crowell. It is 4 laps left to go here in stage number 2. But now it brings into the question here, are these drivers good on fuel? They were down pit road on lap number 23. Now they have had a few caution laps to save a bit of fuel as well, and it could be potentially interesting here to see if maybe these guys will have to make green flag pit stops still before the end of this stage. Now, there were a lot of drivers that did come back down pit road on lap number 27. We look back at Caleb McKinney, Nicholas Barton, Donald Brame there in that 89 ride, Chad Lancaster. Maybe some of these drivers coming back down pit road a little later in the run, maybe that'll help them out. And if other drivers start to run out of fuel, maybe it opens up the door for them to pick up a bunch of positions and maybe even into the stage-winning role here in stage number 2. But it's going to be interesting to see how it plays out. No one's going to come down pit road. That time is down and across the line. It is 3 laps left to go. So 3 laps left to duke it out here in stage number 2 here this evening from the iRacing Super Speedway. And it's the 2 ride of Corey Crowell, Al Reed, 1 and 2 out there on the racetrack. For Corey Crowell, he's just going to try to throw some blocks, try to keep these guys back there at bay, hope that no one can get to his outside and potentially take this race lead away from him. And then you see that 3 ride, the 84, these drivers that are on his back bumper, do they go with them? Do they stick with that 2 ride, try to keep it a little bit more single file, or do we see them jump to the outside groove and go for a bit of a run? Now we do see the 84 ride. He will jump up there. Does Caleb McKinney pick him up? Looks like he will stay to the back bumper of this 84 ride and looking to try to push Wayne Garland potentially up here to our race leaders. They got 4 cars now into this outside group, and they're hoping that that may be enough, but they may need a little extra help, as here comes that 77 ride. Casey Gross, he'll look to the outside here now, as he'll look to try to jump up a couple spots here, maybe trying to use this outside momentum to pick him up a solid stage win here in, I do believe, what is race number 4 on this season. So race number 4 on the year, and it's been a pretty crazy one here in the first half of this race, but the second half, a little bit more clean and green here. We like this. We like seeing these good green flag laps, and with only, a lap and a half left here in this stage, we will see another yellow flag fly with the stage break, the stage end, and we'll see where all these drivers kind of get lined up. Unfortunately for the 84 ride, it just doesn't seem like there's much in that second groove. And for Wayne Garland, he jumped up there hoping that they were going to build some big momentum, take some big runs, and potentially try to hunt down and make some passes for the race lead. Unfortunately for the 84 Wayne Garland, he got slid back there quite a bit, even with Casey Gross, and now Jamison Heath jumping up in front of him. You see Devin Black going to the outside there, trying to get that third line rolling. Unfortunately for Wayne Garland, looks like he's taken himself out of a fairly solid stage point run here at the end of stage number 2, unless if they can find some big speed. And here it comes, as you do see Al Reed jump into that outside groove, but here comes the 24. He's going to even go higher. Here comes some lap traffic, the 31 of Adolfo Castillo right there. And unfortunately for James Heath, I think for Heath, that's going to send him backwards, as there is contact. Look out, Jamison Heath going to run into some issues. No caution flag. He rolls back up onto the racing surface. Still no yellow, still no yellow. There it is. Caution flag on the racetrack, and it's Al Reed who will pick up stage win number 2 here this evening. So Al Reed makes the call down the back straightaway to jump to that outside lane, and it moves Al Reed into that stage win here today. Casey Gross back in second. Corey Crowell in position number 3, with Wayne Garland there in 4th. Josh Bromfield back in 5th. And we see Kurt Sponsler, Nicholas Barton, Donald Brame, Robert Tuiscu, and Devin Black rounding out our top 7. Let's take a look back here and see what happens, as I think the lap traffic kind of played a bit of a role in this one, as Jamison going to jump into that third groove, trying to keep that number 3 right back there at bay. He thought maybe everyone behind him would go with him, but it looks like Casey in that second groove decide, you know what, we're going to stay with that 3 ride, and then we're going to see right there contact, as I do believe it gets a little tight here, 4 wide, and unfortunately for Jamison Heath, he's going to get the worst end of this deal, as he's going to get some solid contact into the left rear from the 76 ride of Caleb McKinney. Looks like McKinney just washes up the track, bounces into the 24 ride's left rear quarter panel, spins him sideways, and then pushes him back up the track here. Unfortunately, nowhere to go for Adolfo Castillo. He was finally able to get back out onto the racing surface. He was already, I want to say, about 10 laps down. It's going to be even more than that now, as it was another big hit there for him. Big contact, big hit for this 24 ride and for the 76 machine. Also getting some pretty solid damage out of that one as well. So also getting tore up was Caleb McKinney. See that left front tire just kind of weeble wobbling. The fender's kind of bouncing around there as well. You'll definitely have to come down pit road and try to get that repaired. It's actually the right front. There we go. There's a great look at it. So that thing's definitely got some massive suspension issues. Obviously, the fender falling off here as well. iRacing is just going to keep replaying that for us, but the fender is pretty much blown off that thing, and the crew's going to have a lot of work to do to try to get this car back into the action, as everyone going to come down pit side. Everyone's going to make a pit stop as Al Reed wins stage number 2, and now we get ready to go back to green flag racing for our final stage of the day. Be nice to see if we can get some more good green flag laps like we just did there in that second stage. See if potentially, Al Reed or Casey Gross, one of these drivers, can, maybe try to just keep all these drivers back there in a line, try to make them a little bit more nice and easy out there on the speedway, not running 2-3 wide and making some craziness out there, because, man, unfortunately, it's tore up a lot of race cars here this evening, and we're starting to run out of good cars out there on the racetrack. We do see Anthony Garland still down pit side, getting repairs. Same with Caleb McKinney, Jamison Heath down pit road for an extended period of time. Same with Johnny Thunders back there in the 60, Cameron Combs in that number 15 ride, Adolfo Castillo now back there in 22nd. And for Cameron Combs, I do believe Cameron is going to get the lucky dog again. That will put him another lap to the good here. And for this 15 ride, Cameron Combs went from about 7-8 laps down to now only being 2 laps down here in this race. He's still the first car that is a lap or multiple laps down, so if we do get a couple more caution flags for Cameron Combs, he may be back on the lead lap and right back into this feature event, which would be an absolutely amazing rebound for that 15 machine, as we'll get them all ready to rumble, ready to go back to Green Flag Racing, as we'll get ready to duke it out here once again this evening after what so far has been a very crazy race. And if you guys are enjoying this racing action, make sure you guys do us a favor, man. Smash that thumbs up button. Smash that thumbs up button. Show us the love here this evening. Hit that subscribe button for us. Become part of the Peacemaker family here today. Become part of the Peacemaker family. Join in on the fun. Enjoy some great racing action here on a nightly basis, as out in front it is that 3 ride of Al Reed. Reed hoping to try to find victory lane here this evening. Can it work out for him? Can he find the top spot and put himself into the winning strategy here this evening, or will we potentially see someone else jump up, take the lead away from them, and put themselves into the winner's circle? It's going to be a heads-up race here. Everyone's just going to try to keep themselves, pointing the right direction. Everyone's got to keep themselves, out of trouble here and just be there at the end. You can't win this race if you're not out there on the speedway. If you're no longer battling here in this race, unfortunately, you can't put yourself into the winner's circle. So just got to stay alive, survive, keep yourself out of the carnage and chaos out there on the racetrack, as we'll get them ready to rock and roll, ready to go back to battle, as the 3 ride Val Reed gonna get ready to see this green flag be displayed, gonna get ready to go back to battle. And as we do, we're going to jump into our Peacemaker Gaming, crank it up. So ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, here from iRacing Super Speedway, we want you guys to cheer on your favorite drivers. Let us know who you want to see up and in victory lane, and crank up that volume. Cheer on your favorite drivers as we crank it up here on Peacemaker Gaming. Crank up that volume and cheer these drivers on. Caution flag, back out on the racetrack. Yellow flag being displayed here, as it looks like some issues for the number 48 ride here, as Grant Humphrey looks like he's going to end up into the apron here. Maybe gets a little help, a little contact from behind. Let's take a look at it. So the Must Love Poodles ride heads down and into corner number 3, and right there gets into the apron, washes back up the racetrack. Unfortunately, that shows Anthony Garland up towards that outside fence, but the 48 still trying to catch it, still trying to hang on, bounces back into the 76 of Caleb McKinney. McKinney in the 49 ride make hard contact up and into that outside fence. Big hit there for Caleb McKinney. Big hit for Kurt Sponsler. And unfortunately for both those drivers, getting very tore up. Not too much damage there for that 848 Ryan. He ends up with probably the least amount of damage out of the three drivers really collected here in this one. And unfortunately for Caleb McKinney, this one may be a day ender as here he comes back up the racetrack, bounces off him, shoves him up the track. Nowhere to go for Kurt Sponsler. The 76 as they slam into that outside fence, man. That's a big, big hit there for both of these drivers, and I'm not sure, both of them may have already used quick repairs here this evening, so that may have just taken a couple more drivers out of this feature event. Let's see if we get another look at it. Let's see if we can jump on board here with this 76 ride as he's going to take us down into corner number 3. Then we're going to see 48 ride jump down, hit that apron, and then bounce back up and take this 76 ride with them. Right there, there's the apron, there's the car losing control, and then bam. That's all she wrote, and that is potentially the end of the night here for Caleb McKinney, potentially the end of the night for the Kurt Sponsler Midland Struggler ride as well, as unfortunately those cars have gotten pretty tore up. A lot of cars have gotten tore up here this evening, and unfortunately for a lot of these drivers, they'll have to look to try to rebound, try to get themselves back into the action, back into the battle here today as we get them all stacked up, racked up, ready to try to go back to battle. We do see Chris Muse making his way down pit side, so looking to get some gas into his ride. Anthony Garland looking to get some gas, maybe some repairs as well as Lancaster. Johnny Thunder's back down pit road. There's Kurt Sponsler. Unfortunately for Kurt, he is still parked down here on pit road. This is not a fun spot to be if you're that 49 ride for Caleb McKinney. Also parked down pit road. Still tons of damage on both of these rides. So it looks like they do not have their quick repairs. And without having those quick repairs, man, your day could be done. Your afternoon could be coming to an early close out there on the speedway, as we already see for a few of these drivers, their nights have already ended. For drivers like Adolfo Castillo, Tony Noble, James Garland, Mike Killingbeck, Tyler Humphrey, they are all unfortunately done and out of this race. We may see a couple more join them there after that big wreck, those big hits out there on the speedway. And for the 15 ride of Cameron Combs, that's another yellow flag. That's another lucky dog for this number 15 ride potentially. We'll have to wait and see who gets it, who gets to get back on the lead lap, as I do believe right now for Cameron Combs in this number 15 machine, he currently sits still 2 laps down, but I'm not sure if they've handed out the lucky dog as of yet. We'll have to wait and see if this Reese's Pieces ride does get the wave, does get back on the lead lap. We'll wait and see if iRacing makes that call, or maybe they thought he was part of that caution there. He was right in that battle, and unfortunately may have gotten a little contact, and that may be enough contact where it doesn't give him the lucky dog. But our race leader's just starting lap 48. He's starting lap number 46 here in that 15 ride, so it does not look like he will get that lucky dog. And unfortunately for him, that's going to set him back here in this race. And now for the 48 rider, Grant Humphrey. I do believe Grant also a lap down out there on the racetrack. So Grant now in line for the lucky dog here. So he's going to need at least a few more yellows. Johnny Thunders, Anthony Garland still in the lead lap. They'll look to try to catch up to the rear of the field as we'll get ready to go back to Green Flag Racing. We'll get ready to duke it out here once again this evening. Is Al Reed out in front, showing these drivers how to get it done here. 47 laps completed. It'll be 40 laps done when we go down and across the start-finish line here. And I do believe that'll give us, 27 laps of racing action left to go here in this feature event. 27 laps left to go. We're almost down 66% of this race. 2/3 of this race almost completed here this evening. And for Al Reed, he's helping to lead the rest of the way here, hoping that no one else gets an opportunity, no one else gets to his outside and potentially wins this race. But you do see a lot of these Elite Sim Racing rides up there. We see a couple of these Quantum Motorsports machines now poking their nose into the battle. There's the Dark Horse Motorsports rides, Wayne Garland and our pole sitter, the 89 ride there of Donald Brame. They're right in the thick of it. They're right in this battle. So it's still anybody anybody's race here late in this one. Anybody could still find their way into victory lane as we get ready to set them back loose. We get ready to go back to green flag racing as Al Reed out in front, down in through the Geico restart zone. We'll see that green flag fly once again as we jump back into our Peacemaker Gaming Crank It Up. So once again, crank up that volume and cheer on your favorite drivers as Kurt Sponsler does say had to use quick fix on the first caution. This last one did me in. Too much damage. That is a tough one right there. As James Garland says, iRacing Speedway, more like Wreckfest 3. Laugh out loud. Yeah, unfortunately, yeah, there's been quite a few yellows. There's been a lot of issues, a lot of carnage out there on the racetrack here this evening. Hopefully, we can put that aside and just see some good hard green flag laps here as we jump back into the Crank It Up. Alrighty, a beautiful crank it up session as these drivers put on an absolutely amazing show for us out there on the speedway. As the 6th rider, Robert Tuiscu, leads this race. Tuiscu out in front, showing these drivers that right now he's the car to beat. Here we go. Green flag pit stops are now underway as drivers start to head down pit road, making these pit stops. They're going to be tough to do. You got to hope that you do not lose a lap. You got to hope that you can see this cycle through. No caution flags out there on the racetrack, and that this cycles all the way back to where things should be. As you do see Tuiscu, Al Reed, there's Donald Brame, Wayne Garland, Josh Bromfield, Crowell, Billy Jordan. Tuiscu obviously down pit road. Luke Wagner, Devin Black also coming down pit side. As we saw things get pretty broken up there as Anthony Garland has lost the lead draft there. He's back in about the 14th position. Same with the 24 right. A couple of these drivers already making additional pit stops. So we saw Jameson Heath, Gary Wright, Nicholas Barton come down there just a couple laps ago. And now we see this next wave of drivers making their way down pit side for Casey Gross in the 0-2 at Lancaster. They're staying out a little bit longer. Same with their Quantum Motorsports teammate, the 60 of Johnny Thunders. Thunders and the 99 of Chris Muse also staying out here for that additional lap. So they're going to head down pit road. And with not a lot of laps left here in this race as they head down across the line, they will complete lap number 61 here this evening, meaning 14 laps left to go. 14 laps left to duke it out here in this race. And that means that and it's going to be very, very interesting. It's going to be very wild to see kind of what is going to transpire. And if we see another caution flag, how will that look? How will that shape things up here late in this race? And how will drivers kind of rejoin this battle? And you can see already things are heating up here towards the front. The 15 ride, who's already a lap down, trying not to go 2 laps down here for that number 15 of Cameron Gomes. He's looking to try to stay in front of his teammate as the Elite Sim Racing rides now sit 1, 2, and 3 here at the front of the field. Now, unfortunately for Cameron, got tied up in that first caution flag of the day for that 15 ride. He is currently sitting back in the 19th position, still at least 1 lap down out there on the racetrack. If we see a caution flag here, he could get back on the lead lap as the 0-2 slow, trying to build up that speed. Same with the 77 ride here of Casey Gross as they make their pit stop. They roll back out onto the racing surface here. They're hoping to drag into that draft right there, hoping that they can get back into it, hoping that they can kind of stay with this lead group. As right now this lead group is kind of diminished. There's a lot of cars that are no longer a part of that lead group, as we do see Johnny Thunders. He's coming down pit road. He's making his final pit stop here of the day as Robert Tuiscu, who is currently second in line right here, is our race leader. Al Reed there in second. Bromfield now into third with the 2 rider. Corey Crowell there in 4th. Jameson Heath inside the top 5. And Donald Brame, our pole sitter here this evening in that 89 ride. The Dark Horse Machine sits there in that 6th position. So our lead pack is only 6 cars out there on the lead lap right now. That is the lead pack. This could be the battle for the win here between these 6 drivers. Casey Gross back in 7th. Lancaster there in 8th. Wayne Garland and that 14 rider Billy Jordan sit back in 9th and 10th. A little farther behind them, you see the number 7 of Devin Black, another car that is a lap down out there on the racetrack. That is Grant Humphrey in the 48 ride. And then we see Chris Muse back there in the 12th spot. Gary Wright there in 13th. Johnny Thunders back in 14th. Anthony Garland, he was unfortunately going a lap down there, and for the 81 had to make his pit stop. And for this 81 machine, see if he stays out in front of our race leaders as he rolls back out onto the speedway. For the number 22 of Nicholas Barton, Barton's down pit road here, making his final pit stop. So for the 24 Exalta ride, he's down pit side. Unfortunately, our leaders will roll around him here, and that will put him a lap down out there on the speedway. And for Grant Humphrey, he is still in that free pass position back there in that 16th position now, as Barton looks like he'll roll out in about 17th. Cameron Combs hoping that he can maybe gain a couple more spots as Luke Wagner down pit road here. Looks like he may be down pit road for the rest of this race. Same with Kurt Sponsor, Caleb McKinney, obviously Adolfo Castillo, Tony Noble, James Garland, Mike Killingbeck, and Tyler Humphrey bringing up the rear of the field as we started with 26 drivers. We currently only have 18 drivers still rolling out there on the speedway. 18 drivers still battling, still racing here this evening, as it does look like Luke Wagner has taken his car out of this race. He is no longer rolling, no longer doing any more laps here. He made it to lap 61. He was only, I think he was still on the lead lap, or only 1 or 2 laps down, and now for Luke Wagner, looks like he is done and out of this race. For Cameron Combs, unfortunately for him, he is still 1 lap down here. If his teammates do get around him here, that will push him back to 2 laps down, and unfortunately there's a couple cars in line to get the lucky dog before this 15 ride. So he needs a caution flag, needs to stay in front of his teammates and hope for another yellow, where potentially then he could be in that final lucky dog position and get back on the lead lap and back into this race. Great rebound nonetheless, though, for that number 15 ride to even get back into, even close to being back on a lead lap here this evening. Is down across the line. They will complete lap number 65, and we get 10 more laps left to go. 10 more laps left here in this one, as Robert Tuiscu continues to lead the way. He's a 1-2-3 right now in this lead pack for the Elite Sim Racing team, and they're hoping to keep it that way here until the checker flag. Obviously for Cameron Combs, still going to be a tough race for him, still going to be finishing outside the top 15 for that number 15 ride, but if he can help stay here in front of his teammates in that 6 machine in the 3 ride, helping Robert Tuiscu and Al Reed into a 1-2 finish here for the Elite Sim Racing team, then they are definitely going to be looking for that. They definitely want to see that finish that way, as the 12 rider Josh Bromfield, he's back here in position number 3. Corey Crowell back there in 4th. Jamison Heath rounds out our top 5 in the Mountain Dew number 24, in the number 89 ride Donald Brame in that Sprite Dark Horse Motorsports ride rolls there in that 6th position, and that's virtually who it's between. It is a 6-car battle here at the front of the field. 6 cars duking it out here for what could be the win this evening. The next closest driver, our 7th place performer right now, is the 77 of Casey Gross. Casey is currently about 11.5 seconds back of our race leaders. 11.5 seconds back. They desperately need a caution flag. Same with Lancaster, who's now right there behind them. The 84 of Wayne Garland. The 14 of Billy Jordan. Devin Black. Chris Muse. Gary Wright. All these drivers desperately need a yellow flag to try to get back into the action, to get back into the battle here, as right now only 14 drivers on the lead lap. Anthony Garland, who's tagged on to the tail end of this lead pack, he sits as the first driver 1 lap down, and they're reeling in Johnny Thunders in a quick hurry. Thunders may go a lap down here before the end of this race as well. We'll have to wait and see how that gets played out, but for right now, it is Tuiscu who continues to lead this race. Robert out in front, trying to put this RT3 Designs ride into victory lane. Had to serve a pass-through penalty to start this feature event as well for that 6th ride. Went a lap down here early on. Luckily enough, shortly after coming down pit road, we saw the caution flag fly in for that 6 machine. Got the wave around, got the lucky dog, got back onto the lead lap, and here he is late in this race, hoping to try to put himself up and into the winner's circle. As Tuiscu and Reed nose the tail out there, the rest of our top 6 right there with them. 15 ride is a couple laps down for the number 81. Also a lap down there of Anthony Garland. Looks like they will put the 24 ride. Looks like he will lose another lap there, as Nicholas Barton will now fall 2 laps down. He'll fall in behind Cameron Combs. Now for Combs, that's another position there for that Reese's Pieces number 15 machine. So that's a big break there for him. Obviously another position, another point for him in the team. That'll at least ease the pain a little bit more from getting tied up and tore up in our first wreck of the day on lap number 2 here this evening, as Robert Tuiscu looking good, looking strong, and the laps continue to get clicked down, but are these drivers back there behind them starting to communicate, starting to try to line something up? Can't we see some of these other teams kind of work together? For Bromfield, he's kind of a lone duck up there, doesn't really have a whole lot of help in this fight up at the front of the field, but I know for each and every one of these drivers, they want to be up in victory lane. They want to take this win away from Al Reed. Unfortunately, Jamison Heath doesn't have any teammates up here in this battle. He may gain 1 here with that 24 machine of Nicholas Barton. May be able to join that hunt, be able to join that fight there towards the front. For Anthony Garland, he may be able to help out the 12 ride of Josh Bromfield. And then you look back at the 2 ride. Unfortunately here, for the 2 machine of Corey Crowell. Corey is kind of just a lone duck out there by himself. Unfortunately, doesn't have much of a fighting chance here. Not a lot of teammates around him, but maybe one of these drivers, or maybe he can try to make some moves, go with a couple of these casts, try to open up the door, open up the advantage here for them to get into the fight here towards the end of this race. Is down across the start finish line. They are going to complete lap number 70 here this evening, and it's only 5 laps left to go here tonight for Robert Tuiscu to try to find victory lane here at iRacing Super Speedway as it's coming down to the nitty-gritty here in this one. As ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, if you guys are enjoying the racing action here this evening, make sure you guys hit that like button, hit that share button, hit that subscribe button right now. Become part of the Peacemaker family here today. Become part of the Peacemaker family. Hit that subscribe button. Help us out. Help us hit our goal, as right now we're trying to build up to 2,000 subscribers over on the YouTube stream. Over on YouTube right now, we're trying to hit 2,000 subscribers. So hit that subscribe button. Become part of the Peacemaker family here today. As out in front, the 6th ride, you see a lot of this lap traffic starting to become a little bit of a hassle here. It could play a role. It could become a factor here in this feature event. If we see more issues, some more problems, you know, anything that could potentially arise here for these drivers, it could become a very, very interesting finish here this evening, and especially if this lap traffic plays a role in it. If they make a mistake, if one of these lead lap drivers are trying to push themselves towards the front of the field, one of the lap down cars could potentially cause a big caution flag here late in this race. Is down the back straightaway here. They only got about 3.5 laps left to duke it out here. 3.5 laps left to battle, left to duke it out, left to try to put up a fight here for this race win. And for our top 6, they're the only ones that are still in it. Our top 6 all within a second, as Donald Brain back there in that 6th position here, unfortunately now has a few lap cars in between himself and the rest of that lead pack. Unfortunately, that's going to be even tougher for him to try to work his way up towards the front of the field. And then about 13 seconds back, you see the 77 rider, Casey Gross. Now, they've kind of joined together here. They've made a little bit more of a 4-car pack with Casey, Chad Lancaster, Billy Jordan, and Wayne Garland here. Before these drivers, you know, they're 14 seconds back now of our race leaders, and that is a very, very difficult spot to be here on the racing surface with only 2.5 laps left to go here in this race, man. It's coming down to the nitty-gritty. Who will find their way into victory lane? Who can find a big run? Who can make a big move to try and work themselves up and into the top spot? Or can the RT3 Designs rides, the Elite Sim Racing teammates here that are currently running 1, 2, and 3 here in this lead pack, obviously with the 15 right there, the Reese's Pieces machine, he is a lap down, potentially going to be 2 laps down if his race leaders get in front of him. But for the 6 ride, his teammate in the 3 ride of Al Reed, his other teammate out there on the racetrack, they sit 1, 2 on the racetrack here. Bromfield back there in that Outcast Racing League Poor Boy Motorsports number 12 ride sits in position number 3, and unfortunately, he's going to have to try to find some help here. He's going to need that 2 rider Corey Crowell to go with him, potentially get the 24, Jameson Heath, Anthony Garland, some of these other drivers to try to jump into the outside lane or try to make some sort of a move that could potentially push him to the race lead, and in doing so, they may leave him high and dry, send him backwards, and potentially move them forwards. As there we go, there's a big move for Corey Crowell. Crowell able to get down to the inside of the 12 ride, and unfortunately for Bromfield, that will lose a couple spots for that 12 machine as he'll fall back here to his teammate, the 81 ride of Anthony Garland. Garland will pick him up, so he'll stay there in that 5th position as the white flag has been displayed. So one more time around here, a big shove to the back bumper of the 2 ride. The next flag will end this race no matter what, whether it's the checkered flag or the caution flag. As you see, the 12 make a big move to the outside lane. The 24 ride jumped up there, blocked that run, and unfortunately, that is really going to hurt their chances. Now you see the 60 ride of Thunders here. Thunders, unfortunately, is a lap down. He looks to the outside of the 24. That breaks up his pack even more. Here comes another big run from the 12. Trying to get a drive, trying to get a run. Here comes his teammate and that 99 of Chris Muse trying to help him out. Unfortunately, Anthony pushes up the racetrack, and for the Elite Sim Racing team, for the final time, down through 3 and out of 4, they will have no pressure to their back bumper. They will drive down across the line as Robert Tuwiscu will pick up the checker flag here this evening. Tuwiscu with the win, as we do see Corey Crowell and Jamison Heath run into problems here a little farther back in the pack. Let's take a look and see how that finishes off for them, as they were still trying to make some moves here, and unfortunately, looks like the 24 gets to the inside of the 2 ride, hooks him, spins him down onto the apron. Both of them go for a wild ride, and upside down goes Jamison Heath. Oh, man, such a good run going for the 24 ride. The young gun here this evening just making that slight mistake right here. You see him shoot in here. The 2 ride pushes up more towards the middle. 24 tries to squeeze down underneath of him to move up into 3rd. Makes contact there with the 2 machine of Corey Crowell. Gets him loose down onto the apron. Shoots back up the racetrack, and then watch this 24 car. Hard hit into the outside fence. Flies down the racetrack. Nowhere to go for Chris Muse as he comes in and hits him, and man, that is a wild ride there. Upside down, gets hit again by the 24 machine of Nicholas Barton, and this car just flying out there on the speedway, back up into the fence. And unfortunately, this car never made it back down across the start-finish line. Let's see if we can take another look at it. Let's see if we can jump on board here and experience what the 24 ride just experienced here. Is that was a wild, wild ride. This was not a fun one here for this 24 machine. So here we go. Down into 3, gets that run. Unfortunately, right there. There's the contact between him and the 2 car, and then... Oh, man. What a wild experience here for that 24 car. And unfortunately, this thing is not going to make it to the end. He's got his foot in the throttle. He's trying to make it go. He wants to finish the race. Unfortunately, this car is not going to move an inch, and that is what will do his night in, as Robert Tuwiscu finds victory lane. Tuwiscu with the win will capture the feature event here from iRacing Super Speedway. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, if you guys enjoyed that feature event, if you guys enjoyed that amazing racing action here this evening with the Outcast Racing League, make sure you guys hit that like button, hit that share button, hit that follow and subscribe button, and become part of the Peacemaker family here today, as we'll get ready to pull our race winner, Mr. Robert Tuwiscu, up and into the broadcast booth here for his post-race interview here today. Let's get him up here into the booth. Let's see what he's got to say after a crazy run and a crazy finish here in this feature event, as we'll wait for him to jump up into the post-race interview room here, see if we can get some words in there with him, as right now we do have Josh Bromfield in there. Okay, here we go. All right, so ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, our race winner, the Hitman, Rob Tuwiscu, down in victory lane. Let's get him up here into the booth. Hey, Rob, it's Aaron up here in the Peacemaker broadcasting booth. Did you get a copy?
I got you, Aaron. How you doing, bud?
Not too bad, Rob, man. What a run. What a drive. Take us back through this one. Obviously, early on, you had to serve a black flag here early in this race, the pass-through penalty. You go a lap down. Luckily enough, there was a lot of caution flags early in this race, and it gets you right back on the lead lap, right back into the action here. You're able to work yourself through some of the carnage and mayhem and battle your way back up towards the front of the field, and then all of a sudden, late in this race, you find yourself out in front. You got your teammate Al Reed right there on your back bumper. All of a sudden, your other teammate, the 15, Cameron Combs, backs it up there with those green flag pit stops just in front of you guys. And it opens up a 3-car pack for you guys to kind of just keep all these drivers back there at bay. No late race caution flag to kind of mix you guys up or to make it a little tougher on you here this evening. And you're able to just keep your foot in the throttle. Everyone running into problems back behind you there on the final lap. And you and Al Reed just to send it on cruise control down here and into victory lane this evening, man. Take us back through this race and what's going through your mind right now as you're able to win here at iRacing Super Speedway.
Well, man, I got to tell you, dude, that was a drive for sure. Like you said, I started with that penalty there, which, nobody likes starting off a race that way, but then that early caution came out, and, I just tried to keep it clean. I got in the wall a little bit earlier. I had to use my quick repair up real quick, and I just tried to drive smart and careful, and of course I got my team in the background with me, and they're talking me through everything, keeping me calm, and trying to keep a cool head because I was pretty angry, and yeah, I mean, I just kept running that race, and I found myself up in the front pack there, and I was pushing Brom, and I saw an opportunity to duck down to the low line there, and I just took it, and that was all she wrote, brother.
Yeah, that's all she wrote once you guys kind of got hooked together there. Now, were you guys stressing out a little bit? Was there a worry that potentially one of these drivers or a bunch of those lap down cars that you guys were adding basically to that lead group were going to cause a late race caution flag that would potentially steal this win away from you guys? Were you guys getting a little nervous with that, seeing that group kind of get bigger and bigger and bigger as you guys got closer to that checkered flag?
Nothing makes me more nervous than myself. I'm notorious for messing it up right there at the end. So, nah, man, all the guys were pretty respectful. Everybody moved out of the way. Obviously we had Cam up in front of us. Trying to keep him from going another lap down, which, between him and Al, man, I couldn't have done it without him.
Yeah, absolutely. You and Al working perfectly together out there. Obviously, Al really wanted trying to get that car up and into victory lane. Had his kids riding on board with him here this evening, man. But I'm sure he'll be pretty pumped up with the 1-2 finish here and a solid performance for the Elite Sim Racing Group.
Yeah, we did great, man. I appreciate it. I appreciate the guys on track. So it was a great race. I've been off for a couple of them, and to come back and win one, my second league win now, which amazing for me. So that's great, man. I love it.
Absolutely. Second league win, and obviously here tonight, man, no bigger one in our fourth race of the season, adding some good points, getting yourself right into the battle here for the playoffs now, and you have to look forward to a lot of great racing here throughout the rest of the season.
Absolutely, man.
Giddy, well, Rob, heck of a run, heck of a drive. Congratulations on the win here this evening, man. Hopefully we'll see you right back up here in the broadcast booth next Sunday. Enjoy the rest of your night, and don't party too hard down there in Victory Lane.
Thanks, brother. You too, man. Appreciate it all.
Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, give it up there for Rob, the Hitman Tuwiscu, as Rob picks up the checkered flag here this evening as we'll get ready now to pull in our second place driver, the three machine of Al Reed. Reed coming home here in that second spot here this evening. Hey, Al, it's Aaron up here in the Peacemaker Broadcasting booth. Did you get a copy?
Come on, Aaron. How are you getting on, lad?
Not too bad, brother. Al, what a run, what a drive here, obviously, for you and your teammate, Rob Tuwiscu, to come home 1-2 here this evening, but you also get a special paint scheme here. A paint scheme that your kids painted. It's got their face on there. They were riding with you here this evening, and you're able to come home with a very solid second-place run, man. Take us back through what's going through your mind right now.
Yeah, it was a fun race. It was very difficult to overtake, though. I found I was just kind of riding around. So I was for the first little while, just seeing what the fuel was like and track grip, and seeing how everyone else was acting and driving and stuff like that. But there was a lot of cautions there, and just trying to stay on top of the fuel strategy. Stayed behind Corey then for a lot of then coming up to stage 2, last lap stage 2, made the move. One car didn't want to go with me, but I think Casey came behind me, gave me a good shove, and I think myself and Casey ended up getting 1-2 then on the stage. So I was happy for Casey for that. And then for the finale, then I thought it was going to be pure chaos coming out of turn 4, but it didn't really happen like that. And our teammate Cam, he pitted the lap before myself and Tuwiscu, and he was flying around us. And as we're heading into turn 3, he just lands right in front of us. He goes right around our outside and lands in front of us. And I was like, Jesus, we got 3 ESR cars here in a row with this distance. This isn't too bad here. Feel bad for Kurt. Kurt didn't have a good night. He just got caught up in a couple of wrecks, and unfortunate for him. But I think the team overall did very, very well. I know Cam was a lap down there at the end, but we made sure to drive around and make sure he finished. That he got his lap at the end. But overall, man, great race. The paint scheme, yeah. I opened up my laptop over the weekend and I put Photoshop on it, and I said to my youngest, Aiden, and I said, here's the paintbrush. Here's how you pick colors. Go and paint Daddy's car. and he painted it. And then I said, "Will I put your faces on the side of it?" And they go, "Yeah." So I said, "Cool, that's what I'll do for this weekend," and it was pretty cool.
Yeah, definitely a really cool paint scheme, man. Really awesome to see that out there on the racetrack, and I'm sure it's going to put a big smile on their face. I made sure to get a good shot of that early on and talked about it there a bit so that they could experience being on board with Dan here this weekend and seeing them come home with obviously a very solid second place run. Hopefully that puts a big smile onto their faces. Al, you park it up here back on the podium. Another good points day, another great race for yourself, man. Who would you like to thank for such a great performance here tonight at iRacing Super Speedway?
Aaron, man, I gotta thank yourself, spot on, like, for what you do for the league and for also other leagues. But in general, the iRacing community, the sim racing community, the level of positivity in your broadcast is just amazing. I love sticking on your podcasts. Not sorry, like your races, like when I'm in work or I get a break of work type of thing, and I can watch another league kind of race. I know what I'm getting. There's no toxicity around like that. It's just good, clean racing, positivity. Good to see. Obviously, the admins, Anthony, for all he does, and the sponsors. Gotta give a shout out to Midland Struggler as well for sponsoring this race, I believe. So gotta give a shout out to him for everything he does for the league for that. And obviously, drivers, man. If you don't have no drivers, you don't have a league. So thanks to all the drivers that come out every week that race with us. It's really cool. But obviously, big thanks to the SR boys too. Thanks to my wife, and I gotta give again big shout out to my two boys, Jake and Aiden. They were good luck charms again today, so it worked out. P2 finish and stage win. Very, very happy, but overall, very, very happy. Pretty good. Thanks so much, Aaron, for all you do for us. You're the best. You're awesome, man.
I appreciate that, brother, man, and definitely always a good day when I'm able to jump in here, watch you guys duke it out, and see that beautiful three ride and hear your beautiful Irish accent up here in the broadcast booth, brother. It's a hell of a run, hell of a drive, man. We can't wait to see you back out there, potentially right back up here in the broadcast booth next Sunday.
Awesome. Thanks, Aaron. Talk soon, bro.
Absolutely. Enjoy the rest of your night. Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, give it up for Al Reed as Al comes home in position number 2 here this evening as the man from Ireland comes home there in that second spot this evening as we'll get ready now to pull in our third place drive for the 12 ride of Josh Bromfield. Hey Josh, it's Aaron up here in the Peacemaker Broadcasting booth. To get a copy?
Hey man, how you doing?
Not too bad, Josh. Hell of a run, hell of a drive here tonight for you, man, as you're able to kind of survive and dodge a lot of the bullets out there on the racetrack tonight early on as we saw quite a bit of carnage, but all of a sudden here, late in this race, it comes down to virtually a 6-car pack. You're able to battle out there, stay in that third position for a little while, and then all of a sudden we see a big move from Corey Crowell, sends you back into 5th. Luckily enough, your teammate Anthony Garland, who had went a lap down, picks you up, puts you back in that 5th position. And then we see there, down through 3 and 4, the 24 ride of Heath and the 2 of Crowell get tied together. You're able to drive right down around them and park yourself back up here for a podium finish, man. Take us back through this one and what's going through your mind?
Yeah, so starting this race out, I was kind of having bad dreams about the week before. I feel like I got caught up in every wreck and just kind of wanted to get up in the front. I qualified good. I think I qualified 3rd and just wanted to stay up there and with the hopes of avoiding the wrecks. And it kind of worked out. And there at the end, I kind of shot up in the corner and Corey got up under me. It was a good move on him. And luckily, Anthony was there. He was a lap down, I believe, but he was there to give me a little boost and get me back up there. And, just some good, clean racing up there to finish it out and ended up walking away with a 3rd place finish. After last week, I'll take it. I'm super excited to be back on the podium.
Yeah, absolutely. After a tough race last Sunday afternoon, here you are, just being able to keep yourself out of that carnage, man. And that is quite honestly a big thing here. There wasn't a lot of drivers that can say that they were able to really keep themselves out of any of these big wrecks here on the evening. Pretty much everyone, using their quick repairs up, getting major damage, getting tore up out there on the racetrack. And for the 12 ride, seemed like you were pretty clean all night long.
Yeah, I'd seen a couple in my mirror, and I just kind of, thought about, how my strategy and trying to stay up front and out of it, and was just happy that I was able to get up there in the front and kind of stay there, and, pit strategies kind of worked out, and wish I would have had my team there at the end, so we could have tried to make a run. But ESR, they had a great run. I'm just thankful for Outcast Racing League, thankful for Poor Boy Motorsports, and hopefully we'll come out next week and put on a good show, and hopefully we can get on the top.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Hopefully we see you right back up here. As you said, being able to potentially win next week's race, man, that's always the goal. And already looking forward to it after a great run here tonight. We can't wait to see what you got in store for us here next Sunday. And hopefully, once again, we do see that 12 right back up here in the broadcast booth and being a couple spots better and in victory lane.
Thank you.
Absolutely, Josh. Enjoy the rest of your night, and congratulations again here on that third place run.
Thank you.
Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, give it up there for that number 12 machine of Josh Bromfield as Bromfield comes home in position number 3 here this evening. Heck of a run, heck of a drive there for that number 12 machine here this evening as Bromfield comes home in third. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, unfortunately, that will do it for us here this evening. Huge shout out to all of these drivers putting on a great show for us here tonight. Huge shout out as well to the always amazing Midland Struggler, man. We can't thank them enough for being our sponsor and jumping on board with us here on the evening, and we can't wait to see you guys back in here enjoying some more fun racing, some more great action here on Peacemaker Gaming. So ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, unfortunately, that will do it for us here in this one. We will be back live in about 2 hours from now with our second broadcast of the day, so make sure you guys have those bell notifications turned on. Make sure you guys hit that subscribe button, become part of the Peacemaker family here today, and have those bell notifications on. It means that you never get to miss any of the green flag racing here on Peacemaker Gaming, as we'll be back to battle here for our third final race of the season here. It's only a few races left to go for the Wheel-to-Wheel Racing League, which is going to be another amazing show, another amazing race, and we'll get to see these drivers duke it out later on this evening. But thank y'all for watching, thank y'all for tuning in, and we'll see y'all back here in the next one. Peace and love, ladies and gentlemen, peace and love.
Radio check. Still on. From the back to the corner, lane up through the trial zone. Not sure why they did that. I don't know the plan. 88 was screaming everybody get to the bottom. Maybe we should just run all out and wait till after the fourth pit. Get out of the gas, slow down. Somebody's got it right in front of me. Come on, come on, come on.
Here comes that number 15 of Cameron Combs. Combs are live with his Kurt Sponsler. Sponsler will pick up stage win. Mr. Garland is Garland leading the way, showing these drivers how to get it done. As the
Check, check, 1, 2, radio check. Still. Run the bomb through the corner, lane up through the trial zone. Not sure why we did that, I don't know the plan. 88 was screaming everybody get to the bottom. Maybe we should just run all out and wait till after the fourth pit. Get out of the gas, slow down. Somebody split up right in front of me.
Here comes that number 15 of Cameron Combs. Combs to the line. It's Kurt Sponsler will pick up stage win. Mr. Garland and Team Garland leading the way, showing these drivers how to get it done. As the Mexico
Engines roar louder than a lion about to feast. Racers in the zone, gripping wheels like a beast. Outcast League, tearing up the blacktop terrain. Rubber burning speed, churning gasoline in their veins. Peacemaker's lens captures it clean. Broadcast a dream on a digital screen. NASCAR hearts with that outlaw creed. Outcast racing warriors of speed. Start your engines, thunder shakes the pit. Chrome shining bright, every car's legit. Draft moves tighter than a surgeon's hand. Chasing glory down roads cut loose from the land. From dusk to dawn, they circle the fight. Tires scream rebellion under stadium lights. Lap by lap, adrenaline sparks the night. Outcast League ends never out of sight. Peacemaker's lens captures it clean. Broadcast a dream on a digital screen. NASCAR hearts with that outlaw creed. Outcast racing warriors of speed. Start your engines, thunder shakes the pit. Chrome shining bright, every car's legit. Draft moves tighter than a surgeon's hand. Chasing glory down roads cut loose from the land. From dusk to dawn, they circle the fight. Tires scream rebellion under stadium lights. Lap by lap, adrenaline sparks the night. Outcast League ends never out of sight. Racetrack gladiators, helmets on tight. Every second matters, every turn ignites. Born for the fuel, engines never betray. At the finish line, see who outruns the fray. Louder than a lion about to feast. Racers in the zone, gripping wheels like a beast. Born for the fuel, engines never betray. At the finish line, see who outruns the fray. Engines roar louder than a lion about to feast. Racers in the zone, gripping wheels like a beast. Outcast League, tearing up the blacktop terrain. Rubber burning speed, churning gasoline in their veins. Peacemaker Peacemaker's lens captures it clean. Broadcast a dream on a digital screen. NASCAR hearts with that outlaw creed. Outcast racing warriors of speed. Start your engines, thunder shakes the pit. Chrome shining bright, every car's legit. Draft moves tighter than a surgeon's hand. Chasing glory down roads cut loose from the land. From dusk to dawn, they circle the fight. Tires scream rebellion under stadium lights. Lap by lap, adrenaline sparks the night. Outcast League ends, never out of sight. Peacemaker's lens captures it clean. Broadcast a dream on a digital screen. NASCAR hearts with that outlaw creed. Outcast racing warriors of speed. Start your engines, thunder shakes the pit. Chrome shining bright, every car's legit. Draft moves tighter than a surgeon's hand. Chasing glory down roads cut loose from the land. From dusk to dawn, they circle the fight. Tires scream rebellion under stadium lights. Lap by lap, adrenaline sparks the night. Outcast League ends, never out of sight. Racetrack gladiators, helmets on tight. Every second matters, every turn ignites. Born for the fuel, engines never betray. At the finish line, see who outruns the fray. Racing roar, louder than a lion about to feast. Racers in the zone, gripping wheels like a beast. Born for the fuel, engines never betray. At the finish line, see who outruns the fray.